Come on, baby, just come on, baby. Come on, baby, just flex. Baby, just flex. Come on, baby, just flex. Come on, baby, just come on, baby. Come on, baby, just flex.
Alrighty. Hello, hello, hello. So, abuse, I will say this much. I've been through it all. I'm not going to sit here and say that my abuse is any different from any other buddy's abuse. So, I will put that out there. I've been financially abused. I've been mentally abused. I've been physically abused. And all sorts of abused. And as I've gotten older and to some much more mature, I've realized that all that type of abuse is something I can't handle anymore.
That's the
And
can I interrupt with you? And the reason you can't handle it probably is because it abuse can be very devastational. It can be devastational, and it can be overwhelming. It can cause anxiety. It can cause a breakdown. It can cause depression, and after a while, um, it can really break a person down to feeling to suicide. Some people will get to the point of suicide. And you have to yourself have to realize what is good for you and what is not good for you and where the source of the abuse is coming from. And if you find that source of abuse, sometimes you have to take yourself away from it. I myself have been emotionally abused by a parent that was supposed to take care of me, and for a long time that abuse went on for good so many years. And you're getting a lot of buzzing in your background, Brandon. I don't know what you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Um.
Probably just got a message, that's why.
Um. But that abuse it was very very devastating. I had to actually realize it, and through a lot of therapy, realize that abuse was too long of an abuse. I didn't know it was abuse. I mean, I had abuse for good up until I was 40. So, and that was my mother was very abusive, verbally, emotionally, and verbally. So it got to a point where I had to actually pull myself away, and we don't talk like a parent and a child would talk every day. But I do communicate. She is my mother, and I do respect her as my parent. But I give her 30 minutes, maybe a month, because I know how she is, and so
Hmm.
I know I know what I have to deal with, and that's me. So we have to deal. We as individuals have to learn how to deal with a situation that's not going to cause us to break down, and that breakdown could be suicide, it could be depression, it could be anxiety. I mean, she triggers me enough to the point where I have anxiety, and you yourself have been around it and seen it. Where I've just had to call my brother and say, "You need to get your mother because I'm about to kick her ass," because I knew what it was. I
Hmm.
knew that she was my trigger. So sometimes when we have abusive situations, I can't get it out, abusive situations and abusive
Relationships.
yeah, and it doesn't have to be a relationship. You could be financially abused, and that could
Right.
mean that you just can't seem to get your funds together to the point where finances will break you down. So abuse comes in many avenues, many ways, many faces, many avenues, and so we have to realize what that abuse is and really, really dig in with self to clarify that and to cleanse it from our aura, from our presence. So.
Hmm. But I mean, yeah, I've definitely, as you know, Flex personally, I've been abused across the board, and I've had to learn to step away from it. And yes, to this day, I do sometimes encounter financial abuse, but that's for me personally.
Hmm.
I caused that abuse to myself, and I will admit that. Um, and so, with that being said, I'm continuing to grow and learn how not to financially abuse myself
Hmm.
because it can be a hindrance to myself and my mental health.
Right.
So with that growth in due time, I know that I'll be able to not have that abuse anymore.
Well,
So,
and I don't think it's not to have that abuse, but to see the signals coming before you get caught up in the web of abuse. Sometimes we have to
mm-hmm,
be more aware and more observant to the energy of abuse. And when I say energy, when
right.
it comes, it is a form of an energy. And if you know it's about to
Mm-hmm,
come your way, it's like taking a U-turn in a car. Let's take a U-turn or make a quick left and make a quick right so that you don't have to hit it face on. And then when you know you have to deal with it, you'll be able to deal with it on your own conscience of being comfortable, So sometimes when we see abuse in its form, we have to learn how to deal with it head on or deal with it in time so we don't have to go through it again. So I think that's what it is. And so I think you froze up, Brandon. I don't know what happened. We just lost him again. Okay, so hopefully we'll be able to get back on. Brandon, we're discussing abuse and um, we're discussing abuse and how one deals with it. How we deal with it, how do we go through it, and all those good things. Because abuse is something that's not easy. Being mentally, physically, emotionally, even communically, even our community can be abusive. I mean, even in our trans community, it can be abusive. I see it every day in our LGBT community where we as community individuals are abusive to each other, verbally, emotionally, not knowing that, that's harm. That is a true harm to be that way with each other. It hurts me to see how verbal abusive on even social media many are towards each other and not realizing that you can push a person to that corner to continuously speak about dysphoria, to continuously discuss about what's passing, what's not passable, can be very abusive to those watching and listening. It can cause them to go over that ledge of giving up. Um, because when people keep hearing something in their ear and they're already dealing with it in their heart, um, after a while, it's something they can no longer deal with. They're at that they're at that point. I'm gonna bring Ari on real quick. I really want to bring Ari on. Ari, I'm bringing you on. I hope that it goes through. Hey Adam, how we doing? Jocelyn, how are you doing? Brandon, you did freeze up a lot, so um and Adam, I'm sending you positive energy, um, pure positive energy. Ari, you might have to kick out and come back in. For some reason, it's not going through. So we're going to try it again. No answer from live video. I need you to kick out and come back again. Um, Adam, I hope you're feeling better. I hope you're drinking a lot of water. Um, just consider what's going on around you. But like I said, a lot of times we as a community, and I mean LGBT family, friends can be very abusive, and verbally saying things that may trigger some individuals to be uncomfortable. I'm just putting it out there. I will say that to always speak about dysphoria, passing and non passable, it can be very triggering. I think that's one reason why many of the trans men I've been exposed to and I've been around, we don't talk about the most devastating things every day because it's a trigger. And those triggers can cause um, a lot to happen in others' lives. Wait, come on.
Hi, Flex.
How you doing, darling?
Fine. How are you?
I'm good. I thought we'd do a real touchy topic and share that for the world today.
Yeah.
Tamara started it, but I think we need to hit it in a different direction as well. We need different perspectives on this.
Okay. Well, I've been through in a physically abusive relationship. Um, it all stems from the lack of acceptance from my family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, from the age of, I want to say 6 to 12, I was very strongly contemplating suicide because everyone was telling me that I wasn't a girl. Um, my dad would go as far as to cut my hair, whoop me for acting girly. And it made me seek acceptance outside of my family,
Right.
which led me to my abusive boyfriend. Um,
Okay.
because I had so much love to give and I didn't get it back, I put myself in a position that I shouldn't have.
Okay.
And it hurt me a little, even to this day, because I really did love this man. Up until the point he put his hands on me, I had no bad things to say about him.
Okay.
There were no warning signs. We were able to communicate and everything. He was the one who actually helped me start the process of transitioning and talking to doctors and therapists and going with me and being what I wanted from my family. And by me not getting that from my family and being already isolated, it made it even easier for him to get into my head and make him my safe place.
Mm. Oh.
But because I didn't hate myself, I was able to leave the first time he put his hands on me.
Oh.
But he did stalk me afterwards, and he did jump on me again when he knocked my teeth out. I had two black eyes. I almost went blind in my left eye. Uh, if you would have seen me, I looked completely different. Uh, it took me a year and a half to even look in the mirror. Uh, I thought it made me stop my transition. It makes it hard for me to trust people and share my emotions with people, even to this day. Um, it's hard talking about it because it's like most people would say he was validating me, but it wasn't validation. He accepted me for who I was, and that's not what I was getting at home. And it when you already know who you are and you're just looking for acceptance of who you say you are, it makes it even harder to move.
Right. It does. It does.
So it's like I've been feeling this way and living this way for so long. And then this to happen to me. It's like so it's like, you know, you get to that point like, okay, like when I talk about community and sisterhood, like if it was my sisters that I was looking to help me in my transition and talk to me about the process and help me along and not hinder me and say, "Oh no, you're just a boy in a wig. No,
Right.
you just cross dressing. You're not really a woman. You don't really want to be a woman." When I'm telling you, I'm a woman in a male's body the whole time. I've been saying this my whole life. It's just I didn't know it was a process to do that.
Right. Right.
So it's like the lack of acceptance from my own trans sisters. The oh you gonna be more passable. When I turned 21 and I walked my first ball, I got chopped because they told me I was a real girl. Why are you walking with trans women and drag queens?
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not a woman. I'm, you know, like I'm one of y'all. Like,
Right.
so it's like, and so they chopped me, and I was like, okay, but y'all, even the trans women on the panel were saying I was a woman.
But I've been through that too. I went to a ball after many years. I returned to the ball scene, and I walked up, and they said Transman Realness, and somebody said Flex, do it, and I was like, no, them years are over. And I said, no, guess what? I'll do it. So I walked up, and they said, and they kept asking me, this is Transman Realness, and looking at my face, and I was like, yeah. Well, what? And they kept saying, this is trans. I was like, why are they yelling at me? And I couldn't understand it because nobody had seen me for many years after I transitioned in the ballroom scene. So I was like, well, why are they yelling at me? Because I am a trans man. And it was kind of funny inside of me. I was like, they're yelling at me, but I belong right. I felt like I was being ostracized outside of my own community. And then I was like, well, what's the deal? And then somebody said, well, are you a trans man? I was like, yeah, I'm a trans man. I said, I still got my man boobs. And they were like, oh, snap. Oh, he's a trans man. So I actually pulled up my binder to show them because at that time I didn't even have top surgery. So for me,
I'm intersex. I developed breasts
yeah.
naturally, so I untucked. So it was like, okay, bam, like. So it's like, and then it's like, okay, it's just like, I had to take that time to refine myself. I stayed away from the trans gay community.
I did too. I just didn't feel like I fit. I felt the community abused me in every direction. The gay community abused me. The lesbian community abused me. The trans community abused me. I just went into what they call a hiding phase. I disappeared.
Like I was telling one of my sisters the other day, that's why I lived a stealth life.
Right. Right.
Like outside of my family, those are the only people that know my truth. Other than that, I walk outside my door, nobody knows anything.
Right. And I think that, and I didn't push myself to live stealth. I just decided to live my life because I didn't want to deal with the abuse. I didn't want to deal with family abuse. I didn't want to deal with all of that. So I just said, what, I'm just going to live my life, and how I live it, if it works for me, it's going to be the best for me. And I had to walk away. And that's why I say when we realize what we're going through, sometimes we have to make a U-turn and go back and start all over, or make a left or right turn and go around it, because sometimes we have to face that abuse. I wasn't ready to face abuse from my own mother. I wasn't ready to tell her, you know what, you're getting on my nerves. I wasn't ready for that. Well, and then when I realized,
from my experience with my family, okay, my brothers were the first ones to accept my transition. My mom, when I told her I wanted to be a girl, told me everything I had swings. You transition, you cannot be here. That is at 12 years old. Because of this Bible mentality that she had.
Right.
But because I stayed persistent from 12 years old to now, she knows that this is the truth.
Right.
So it's like,
Right.
at the end of the day, I had to show her, I had to validate to her that this wasn't just something I was saying. This is something I truly believe, and that's something I know for myself. So the thing my mom always tell anybody, the thing she loves and hate about me, that I never changed for nobody, not even her.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, because my mom didn't accept me, I don't need acceptance from anybody else.
Right. And that goes back to the word of validating to self. Remember, we talked about that. And a lot of times our abuser doesn't even know they're abusing us. I think sometimes even our own community doesn't realize that it bullies us.
No, they don't. And then it's like all you have is a whole bunch of hurt people hurting each other.
Right.
And like I was saying earlier on Sister Tamara's live, I have cisgender people in my inbox that I know personally talking about this is why cisgender heterosexual people look at y'all like this.
You're right. You're right. You're so right. And I think when it comes to the brothers, and there's some trans men here, we stopped doing a lot of that because we realized it was very triggering for us. It was very triggering for us. Some of our brothers were committing suicide because of how we were triggering them, abusing them verbally, not realizing that that's what we were doing. And I think that's where our sisters, I'm going to say this, forgive me for saying this, but some of our trans sisters are abused by the community. And the things they do, I think sometimes putting themselves at harm is a form of suicide.
No, of course. Because I can, like, as a person who contemplated suicide for a long time, I'm an ex-cutter. I'm a ex-pillhead. Like, I did things to fill voids that weren't met because I couldn't express fully who I was. I was sleeping with men that I knew were no good for me. I was damaging my body. I was not looking at myself. I was just okay. I'm a mask how I'm feeling with something else.
Yep.
Instead of truly facing myself and reflecting, and like that's something that I don't feel my sisters do enough of. Yes, you can feel your feminine essence, but are you truly reflecting? Are you truly looking into yourself? Are you truly healing yourself? Instead of going out and getting under new people and getting into new groups and just damaging them with your hurt and with your bitterness that you haven't healed from yet.
Not.
Like, no person is perfect, and I understand that, and we all have our own opinions, but we're grown at the end of the day, and we should be able to agree to disagree. You don't have to.
And that's the thing.
How I see it.
That's the thing. I think the thing is that we're so toxic to ourselves, like someone said, that we're so toxic it flows right over into wherever we're going to.
Michaela,
and sometimes
you should, because I think you have.
She needs to. I want anybody on this live that wants to speak. We need your voices. This is the one live that I'm opening up to the world because this needs to be discussed. And Ashton, you're right. Toxic people, after a while, you have to let them go. And I'm the kind of person, I call it drama. I'm like, look, if you're gonna bring this to the forefront, I can't deal with you right now.
No,
I can't deal with you
like
right now.
even with trauma, when I went through my abusive relationship, I still had enough love for myself to walk away. No matter how
Right.
much I loved that man. And I still have love for him to this day because he helped me realize myself.
Right.
But I also understand the part I played in that situation. And I don't put all the fault on him. Because there's certain
Right.
things I could have handled differently. There's certain ways I could have looked at myself instead of looking for somebody else to accept me.
Right. But you learn from that. You've learned from that because
But that comes from true reflection. I really
right.
had to sit. I took 9 years out of my life not talking to anyone, not being on any kind of social media platform, not having no computer, no TV, just my thoughts, myself, and thinking and evaluating every aspect of myself. 4 years of that nine was completely celibate.
Right.
I made my transition after I quit my transition after my abusive relationship, and I started to go back to my transition because I felt off. I felt like I was denying myself.
Right.
I made the conscious decision. Okay, this I'm going to make this completely for me. My
Right.
life from this point is completely for me. If you are toxic to me, I have nothing to give to you.
And I had to do that with my own parent, my mother. I had to do that with my own. My father kept saying, "Why don't you?" Nah, I don't want to deal with her right now. My brother, nah, I don't want to deal with her right now. And I had to let them know I can't deal with her. She's my trigger. She's toxic. I can't deal with her. And I
Like
verbally said to her, after a while, when you can look at your abuser. I don't care if it's hot water and yell at the hot water. You look at your abuser and let them know I'm not tolerating your bullshit. I mean, I told my mother, I looked right in her face and I said, let me tell you something. I'm sick and tired. I'm 40 years old. Come on now, I was 40. I'm 40 years old, still dealing with your BS, and I'm sick and tired of it. You are nothing of what I need to deal with right now. You are more than a mess. You come up with all this drama and tragic. You're just full of mess. And I just told her that. And for her own child to tell her that, my mother was like, what the hell? She just looked at me like, what the hell? And I gave her I just spilled it into her lap. And I let her know after this day, you want to give me back your house key. For what reason? I don't need to come here. So guess what? You got your house. Keep your house, keep your key. Deuces, I'll see you later. Bye. I left and I didn't come back. And I don't stay in her house. Now, family gatherings come together, I'll go, but I'll let her know straight out. If there's certain family members are around, I don't need to be around them right now. And she's learning. She's learning. It took, I'm 56, 16 years for her to realize I'm going to lose my child. I'm going to lose what I
no,
birthed.
but the thing is, and like I tell anybody, any form of abuse, be it from community, financial, anything,
Yes.
you have to find that place in your mind to where it's okay to be alone. It's okay to not have somebody there. It's okay for you to feel the way you feel. It's
Mhm.
okay. At the end of the day, you don't need to be around anybody who makes you doubt yourself, who makes
Right.
you feel less than.
Right.
It's like at the end of the day, you have to find that love for yourself that nobody else can give you.
Right.
You will never know happiness if you don't know happiness with yourself first.
Right.
And it's like it's sad and it makes me like want to cry because it's like we already go through so much to tear down each other. And it's like what does that do for you? Nothing. Cuz all it does is reveal your pain. And it's like, it's a lot, because it's like my heart is just broken, and it's like you like people are trying to give you their light, their experience, their growth, their understanding, but you're derailing that with your own insecurities.
Right, right,
And
right.
it's like,
You know,
yeah,
Ashton says something, seeking love and support in the wrong place.
exactly. Because like I tell all my sisters, all my brothers, is your cup full? Are you self full first before you can give anything of yourself? Are you full within yourself first?
Right,
Because I don't have to tear down another woman to feel beautiful.
right.
I don't have to tear down another woman to make myself feel better. That actually makes me feel worse.
That's how I am. I don't have to tear anybody down to feel good. You know, I uplift myself when I uplift others. And a lot of times, and I'm going to say this, in our community as a whole, a lot of people that are hard workers, that do a lot for the community, we get bashed, we get beat up, we are abused by our own community for the work that we do. You know, when people are feeling insecure, they want to pull us down with their insecurities. Or when they have something that they're trying to hide because of their insecurity, they're afraid that we're going to expose it. I'll tell anybody this. I'm not going to expose your issues, but if you turn around and abuse me and neglect me and treat me rudely in the worst way, I'm going to let karma expose your BS. But I
No,
will
because
never
at the end of the
lie.
day,
That's right, but I will never lie. I've had people come to me and say, "Well, what's going on between you and so and so?" It just wasn't the kind of friendship I needed. And I don't say anything else because
no,
deep
but
down
that's the
inside they know the story. They know these people. They just want me to add more flame to the fire. No, and I'll tell them, "You know the person well, so why are you coming to me?" Because sometimes we have to be accountable for not being caught up in the mess of bullying, and sometimes we can add to our own tragic going on. And like you said earlier, we have to stop it somewhere along the
you
line.
have to evolve past victimhood. A true survivor
Right,
is able to move on, learn your lessons, and move on. That is a true
right,
survivor. You're no longer a victim at that point. Like I tell
right,
people, I'm no longer a victim. I know I learned my lesson. I know what I'm willing to take. I know what I'm not willing to take. I know how to set my boundaries
right,
with everyone, platonic or romantic.
right,
At the end of the day, if I don't have anything positive to give you, I'm not going to give you anything.
right. And even if you are the abuser, I'm going to give you something, but I'm not going to give you what you're trying to take from me. And
No,
I'm not going to feed into what you're doing to me.
because like with my ex, earlier this year, I hadn't seen him for 10 years. Earlier this year, I ran into him multiple times.
Okay.
It shook me to my core. To see him make me shake, I start
Right.
crying because the love I had for him was still there.
Right.
And I hadn't truly moved on from the fact that since him, I hadn't found a man to love me like that.
Right.
So when I saw him, the fear that this person once said he loved me put his hands on me,
Mm.
basically tried to kill me, and I still loved him.
Right.
No matter, even though I didn't take him back,
Right.
but I still had love for him.
Right.
Scared me because it made me think, okay, what am I saying? What am I telling myself if I can say I still love this person and he basically tried to kill me? called my mom and told my mom that he would beat my ass until I took him back. Like,
But you know what it is? It was that you, deep down inside, knew the good stuff he gave you that you was lacking at home. But you knew deep down inside, he gave you that 5%, but the rest of it was pure abuse. And sometimes we have to decide, is this where I need to be at for my own wellness? Because sometimes what looks good in the cookie
no, but
jar may not
and another
taste
thing,
good, baby. May
what I
not
was
taste
trying to
good.
say is this: what I had to realize is that I never truly forgave him. Because what the mentality I had is, how could he do this to us? It
Right,
wasn't that he did it. It was, how could he do this to us? How could
right.
he mess up such a good thing that we had?
Well,
So I
sometimes,
had to truly forgive him, and that took me apologizing in his face and telling
but
him, "Thank you for showing me myself and bringing me back to myself, but this was not healthy, and I can no longer take it. So I have to let you go."
and sometimes, let me put it this way. Sometimes when a person is abusive towards another, when the person is the abuser, a lot of times the abuser is dealing with something deep seated inside them. And like we said earlier, whatever's toxic, they are throwing it back at you. Because it took me to realize that my mother's issues were not my issues. I started taking on her issues as if they were mine. And then I had to turn around and say, wait a minute, this is not my issue. I'm not in that body. I didn't go through all that 20 something years ago. I can't carry her weight. I may be her child, but because she carried me in her womb doesn't mean I got to carry that weight for her. I can't do that and allow her to keep doing what she's doing. So I had to push back that toxic back into her and just let her know I'm not going to deal with this.
Yes, but
This
it's
is
like,
your problem.
yeah, but it's like all the way around. Like all the way around is accountability. Like I tell people, most of the time we just want to blame everybody else and not see the parts that we played in situations, and that's part of the main problem. You can see what everybody else is doing wrong, but you can't see your own wrong.
Amen. Amen on that one. Amen on that one.
So
That is so true.
it's really reflection, and it's like, most people don't learn that lesson until they become the abuser.
Right,
I didn't want to abuse
right.
anybody, so like I said in Tamara's live, I completely cut off everybody. I had to heal myself first. I had to deal with me first. In my hurt, my broken soul, my broken heart, I
Mhm.
had to deal with that.
Right,
Nobody could fix that. Nothing could fill that void but me.
right, right. And that's what we have to do. And that's why with abuse, it comes in so many ways and its presence and how to identify it and how to cleanse yourself from it. I did a cleansing to cleanse myself to get my brain on the right track because I knew it just wasn't right for me, all that I had been through. It really wasn't. So, I mean, it just, everyone, please share this live. Please, please, please share this live. I want to hear from everyone. I think Michaela's hanging on in the wings. Aria, let's see who else is hanging on in the wings. Julia wants to speak, so I'm going to bring them on as well, and I'm going to bring you back.
Okay, but
Thank you so much,
I
love.
just want to leave with this one word, and you can bring me back later. I just want to say this: reflect. Own your part in a situation. Own the other part, because 9 times out of 10, the signs showed you that this was going to happen. You just were being blind and naive to the situation. But you have to own your own part in whatever happened to you.
Right, right, right. Because sometimes we are the enabler of the abuser.
Because we make it
We,
too
we
easy.
are
Like,
feeding it.
because I had that lack of acceptance from family opened this door for this man to come and accept me and help me in a way that my family wasn't, and he was able to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. You're right. So sometimes it's like a mold. We feed that mold, and it will grow and grow and grow till it just takes over and suffocates you. It sure enough will. So
And
I
once you
thank you,
forgive
love.
somebody, truly let it go. Because all you're going to do is bring that into the next person you try to bring into your life.
Yep. So true. So true. Thank you. We'll bring you back on, Ari. I appreciate you. Love you.
Love you too.
All right. Waiting in the wings. We're gonna bring Julia on and McKay. All right. Well, we got Michaela. For some reason, it's doing what it wants to do. I hit a button and it does it all. Hello, girl with the gorgeous hair. Hello, Miss Girl.
I wanna. Well, first of all, I would like to say I'm glad that you did this part too, so I could tell this story. I'm not going to tell the same story I did on Tamara's live, because it was very traumatic. So I was like, I think I was the second person on Tamara's live. So if you want to see that story, you have to watch it there. Cause I can't go back into it.
Right.
What I will say is this: sometimes, and you know, okay, I'm gonna. I have a lot of thoughts. Sometimes us girls and guys from a certain generation, right? Our parents was very ignorant to even what a trans person was. They were ignorant to that, right? So what a lot of the younger girls in their early 20s and maybe up to about 25, you have to understand the pain of being shunned from your family. And being shunned isn't being kicked out the house. Being shunned isn't, constantly hearing you're going to hell every day. It could be subtle things. It could be being ignored, not being invited to things. It could be, for me, one of my main traumas, I can remember this now, is when I was about 10, 11, 12, 13. It was this show called Beverly Hills 90210. Everybody.
Yeah.
So right at the height of the show, when they still had the original cast before it went sideways and they started adding other people, they had these dolls for the cast of the 90210. And I really, really wanted the Shannon Dorothy character doll. And literally, my mom beat my ass for even asking her for this doll for my birthday. And that trauma there led me into now when I just buy dolls and play with dolls now. And I'm 36 years old because I can do it. Things like that, people don't understand that when you're not able to live your true identity as a child, sometimes you act up as an adult. And for me personally, I'm going to talk about my own personal abuse. For me personally, acting out as an adult was seeking attention from men that I didn't feel like my family was providing for me. Seeking attention from men that I thought that told me that I was pretty, that would buy me things, that would take me out, that would give me money. But I always had to have sex with them. And for me, sex then became not a part of being a human being. Sex became a tool. Sex became a weapon. Oh, you want to talk to me? You have to give me that cash. Very City Girl, very Trina, very Lil Kim. And for me, the community, what I thought was the community, mind you, when I was younger, I'm still a big girl, and I fluctuate in my weight, but I was like 400 pounds, trying to find my way in life. Yes. And I don't know if you guys know about the gay community, but like the whole no fats, no fem, I was all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's one thing. The gay community is very abusive. Gay men are very abusive to their own community
Yeah.
when it comes to structure and body wise. Me and Brandon have talked. Me and Fuzzy have talked about that. He's a bear and he's attracted to Twinkie boys, skinny boys, but they look at him and say, "No, I'm not interested." That's very abusive. And it makes a person think, "Okay, so what do I need to do to get the person that I'm attracted to?" And it's the same thing with me. There are people that don't realize when they talk about, I don't mind a short joke once in a while, but when someone says to me, "Yeah, I love you to death and you're a nice guy, but you're too short," they don't realize that's abuse. That's bullying to me. And it hurts. Sometimes people walk past me and rub my head. Do I look like a baby doll? Like a fucking crystal ball? Abuse. People don't realize gestures, actions can be abusive. And after a while, you pull away from certain situations. Because I've had someone come to me and almost, I was like, "Excuse me, but you don't rub my head. I'm not a damn crystal ball." You become very rude and very distant because you're putting up your blinders and people think you're being rude and distant, but they don't realize their actions and their gestures are abusive in some way or bullying in some way. So people don't realize that. They don't see that. But we have to be able to pull the coattail on it so we don't have to be victim of it again.
Correct. And like Ari said, she needed to find that love from a man. Well, on my behalf, I was team fuck love, fuck relationships. I want nothing to do with that shit. Because everybody who claimed to love me victimized me in one way or another, even if they didn't realize it. To me,
Right,
being was being victimized. Love was being taken advantage of. Love was whatever. So for me, it turned into I just need some dick. Every day I needed some dick. Every day I need to have sex with somebody. Every day I need to do something with somebody in order to validate my own transition. It made me feel like a woman to have sex with these strangers. And now saying that, that sounds crazy. That sounds dangerous. That sounds stupid. But back then, it was completely normal. It was completely sane. And also, I saw other girls doing it. So then it also
right,
validated what I was doing because that's what I saw other girls do. So it was a form of survival actually to have sex with people because if you just at least for a girl, if you're just trying to give up some ass, even if you want some coins, 9 times out of 10 you won't have no issue with getting it. Um,
right,
And it also validated my transition when those same quote unquote gays who used to pick on me, no facts, no films, this and the third, when I used to eat up the best trade on the block and they was just gagged and it made me feel special. It made me feel ha 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 bitch, you may not want me, but this real man want me, so on and so forth.
right,
So for me personally, it was about learning how to accept something that I never got. Learning how to accept, and also learning how to give something I didn't even understand. I did not understand what love was. I did not understand
right,
what affection was. I didn't understand what true attention is. I thought attention had to
right,
be sexualized. I thought attention had to be, you know, if I'm chilling with somebody, of course we're gonna have like I didn't understand like why would you even be in the presence of somebody if y'all wasn't gonna have sex? Like what was the point? And that is a sad, lonely mentality. And it's also a way to build a wall because if I'm just doing this for money, you have no chance of hurting me. You have no chance of taking advantage of me. At least in my mind at that time, that's how I was looking at it. But what I did
right,
realize is I was completely being taken advantage of. I was completely being used. I was completely being these people's fantasies and fairy tales while they went back home to their wives. It was this episode of, I don't know if it was no, it wasn't Sex in the City. Um, it was
You
some
said it was sex in the city.
it was some show, and It was Scandal. It was Kerry Washington character on Scandal. And it really changed my life and my perspective on things. She told one of her clients, while you're around here creeping at night trying to get some at these bushes and at these bookstores and from these random people, they're going back home to their family and spending the holidays with them. And you're still by yourself.
Yep.
And once I actually heard those words come from somebody, it changed my complete perspective on dating and meeting people and learning how to, because sometimes we want people to, we're like sponges. We want love. We want everybody to love us back. But at some
Right.
point, you have to be able to give love. You have to be able to give. And for me, one of my ways of healing was to give love. Like, I don't want to have sex with you. I just want to hang out. Okay.
Right.
Let's hang out. Okay, let's take care of myself then. Let's learn how to love myself. Let's go to a restaurant, Michaela, by ourselves. We don't need a whole group of people with us just to go out.
Right.
If you want to see a movie, go by yourself. And sometimes we can be our own worst abusers. Because for me,
Right.
certain substances was always necessary. Everybody knows I'm a pot smoker. That's not the case. But back in the days, pills, cocaine, alcohol, all of that was a way to shield myself from what I thought was abuse, was love. Because it made me happy. It made me feel good. It was the only time I could be myself when I was around these girls and they was doing all this,
Right.
making all this stuff. Then I could be Michaela and I could be happy and people would call me Michaela and I could go out in the streets and I was a cute fat girl and I was, pretty passable even, young, even before I started, hormones and stuff. I could walk in these streets and everybody would be like, yes, ma'am, this, that, and the third. But when I got back to that house, I was him. I was that name. I was this, that, and the third. And I didn't understand how hurtful that was. Because to me, in that space where I was at, that seemed to be what everybody was doing. Everybody was who they were around each other. But then when they got back to their families, all the wigs would come off. Everybody was trying to get brush cuts before they mama or daddy come saw them, and that's just what it was. I lived in a very toxic community, and some cities are just toxic places for trans people because they're too gay. And once the gayness set in, and even the girls can't distinguish. Have you ever heard a trans girl or even a trans man be like, well, I'm still a man anyways, or a trans man, I never heard a trans man say, but I damn sure heard trans women say, well, I'm still a man at the end of the day. That was the mentality that my transness grew up in. So that's why there was also a lot of confusion because everywhere I was going, everybody was still men. And I had to, this is why, even now when I go home, like I have no friends down there now because everybody be like, oh, she thinks she's better than us. She thinks she's a woman. Yeah, you all are women. We are women. Stop living in between. Like, learn to lose. Sometimes you have to get rid of everything in order to gain. Because if you don't make room for newness, you're still holding on to the old. You're still holding on to the past. You're still holding on to those dead. You're holding on to all this other stuff to make some other people happy. And while you're miserable, they're happy because you're miserable. How fucked up is that? That your misery causes people who are supposed to love you joy. You putting on certain clothes that makes you uncomfortable causes other people to be happy. And then we always want to put other people's happiness before our own. And for me, I had to learn how to be a little bit more selfish. I had to learn how to know, Michaela, you need to put people won't accept you for who you are, don't be around them. You do not have to go around people just because they're your so-called family. You do not have to go around people just because y'all grew up together and now you're trans and they're still gay or still living a gay life and they won't transition. You don't have to be around this toxic energy at all. And more people, it's not okay to isolate yourself, but it's very okay to make room for new people. It's very
Mm-hmm.
okay
Okay.
to because once you get rid of all this toxic energy, you selfful. I agree. Once you get rid of all this toxic people around you, you are able to find true happiness, to find love. The greatest love of all is love of self. And love of self is
So true.
and you have to be your greatest protector, even from the people who birthed you, from your mother, your father, your aunts and uncles. You have to be your greatest protector. And if you always live in your life to appease them, then you cannot be whole. You cannot be whole. One of the things that I'm learning in my journey now is one of the things that I feel like personally, one of the mistakes that we have embedded into our trans community is we don't want to be whole. We want to be, I'm going to speak for the trans women. The trans women want to be women so much that they lose their humanity. It's all about being a girl. It's all about being cis. It's all about being pretty. It's all about looking a certain way. It's all about behavior in a certain way. And you lose your humanity. You lose your ability of empathy. You lose your ability of having understanding that of course this girl's transition is not going to be the same as yours because their journey is different. The way they came into their environment is different. And I feel like now with this whole, because one of the things that's traumatic to me now in my life is this kind of semi-civil war between post-op trans women and pre-op trans women. And it's because people are losing their humanity in their transition. They only focus on being a woman, and being a woman, they have this one ideal standard of womanhood, which is beautiful. It's not godliness. It's not spiritually women, because don't nobody care about the spirit. It's about the physical appearance or what surgeries you have had done or how many hormones you have had taken. Like, I refuse to be on conversations. I used to think it was very informational when girls used to tell each other what hormones they take and this, that, and the third. I refuse to play those games with people now because now I'm trying to tell you how to be a woman. If you really want to find out about these hormones and stuff, let the doctor tell you what you need to take. Or go to a natural herb person and they will tell you what you need to do. But I can't tell you what to do because Michaela's hormone levels is different than everybody else's. And it's a very individualized thing. And we all need to understand that it's a very individualized thing. And we can't force other people into doing things they are not ready to do. And we also cannot devalue what they have done. Even if you've never been on hormones before, and every day you put on a wig or get your hair done and put on a dress and shave your face and do all the shit that everybody says is clocky, we need to applaud that person. That person is a brave ass human being. They are trying to become whole. And we cannot force them to do things that they are not ready to do. Now, it's one thing if somebody is playing with, just doing it for sexual kicks and this, that, and the third. That's something that we can't get over and deal with. But we cannot continue to let these people, we cannot continue to divide ourselves. We cannot continue. Bless, are you asleep? Brother just went to sleep on our ass. We cannot continue to allow these people, us, when I say these people, I mean us, to divide each other up over pettiness, over bullshit, over things that is not important. It's painful to be trans. It's a painful, lonely walk. Even if you have the trans sisters, their journey is not your. The journey is not the same. It's very individualized. It can be very lonely. Very. Bless, you just fell all the way asleep.
You know what's so bad about it? That's about old age. But I hear everything you're saying. The sad thing about it, Brandon will tell you, I hear everything you're saying. I'm sorry, y'all. It's old age. Don't laugh at me.
No, you're
Don't laugh at me, Adam. It ain't funny. It ain't funny. You're right, Erica. People try to do guidelines and all that, and we can't do that. Just like y'all laughing at me. I'm sorry. But I mean, the problem is society, we are all part of society. I'm going to say this. Society tries to set those rules on us, and we can't, I think people, how can I explain? I think people want guidelines in our community. We can't do that. We can't. And our abusers are trying to tell us how we are to live based on how they feel or what they want it their way. Y'all laughing at me still. Look, they still laughing at me, Michaela.
But you're right. And then we start to mimic the abusive behavior with each other. We then start misgendering each other because we don't like the way that girl looked. It was this congresswoman in Vermont. I think she was running for governor. I think she's the first transgender person to win the Democratic nomination for a governorship in this country, right? So someone posted a picture of her, and the way the trans women were attacking her for her looks and not for her.
It was sad. It was really sad. She might resign tomorrow the way they were coming at her. I was like, really? Really? Don't. What it is that was a sign of three things:
Correct.
envy, jealousy, and what was the other word I used, Brandon? Envy, jealous, and something else. I'll get the word out. But it was just like, why do that? Why do that?
Why not acknowledge the accomplishment that a trans person, even though she may have been white, that a trans person has gotten this far? That has opened doors for all trans people who want to run for political office. Now, it's okay. But we don't view it that way. We're so stuck on aesthetics. We're so stuck on the way something looks. Brandon said ego. The other word was ego.
Thank you. The word is ego. Right. The word is ego. And believe it or not, envy, jealous, and ego also allows people to be abusive. Those three words. The three words.
Correct. And the sad part is what they didn't realize by the pictures they posted online was the worst pictures possible, because she's actually a decent looking woman if you go through her pages and stuff. But because the aesthetic in that one picture, it was probably hot outside. It probably was no filters on that picture. It was probably, she probably had very little to no makeup on. We don't know the circumstances of what it is. But one thing that we don't do is allow each other to be great. We don't allow each other to be great in our natural state. You can only be great if you look beautiful, if you look passable, if you look real, I guess, or whatever you want to call it.
You ever notice, let me say this, you ever notice that as a community, when we have trans men, watch this, when we have trans men get into office or become at a level, no one ever says anything, and even if he's not 100% looking like me, all handsome and all that, no one ever says anything. Not even our own trans men don't say anything. But if for some reason, I know the trans women say this all the time, well, that's what women do. No, that's what women by habit have learned. You, as trans women, are women in a different form. You cannot carry over something you really did not learn. You're just picking up something to say that's what women do. Because I'm going to break it down. As a trans man, as a identified man, I've been around men. I know habits of men, but yet I don't pick up those habits because they're not of me.
Correct. And
So when you pick up someone's habits, you're picking up a habit and then you start acting out. And that's where the abuse starts kicking in too. When you pick up habits, bullying is a form of abuse.
bullying is a big form of abuse. But like I said earlier, so many girls, trans women of color, have this toxic feminine energy, and that's what they seek. They seek the toxic part of femininity. They don't see the softness. Well, they do, but because of hurt, because of trauma and stuff, the softness has went away. It's all about reading and picking on, because that's what the women in their lives have done to them. So that's the behavior they emulate.
No, they imitate. Don't ain't no emulate, they imitate. Abusers imitate. Abusers imitate. They don't emulate, they abusers imitate.
Because one thing I know,
If a man is abusive to a woman, it's something he's been exposed to and he's imitating what he's seen.
correct. One thing I notice about especially trans women, if a girl is getting, if a girl is in an abusive relationship with a man or whatever the case may be, and the relationship is over, that girl, the victim, will be single for a very long time. But that man will have another girl on his arm in like less than a month. Even if it's public, even if she posts a picture, stay away from this guy because he beats the girls. He'll have another girl on his arm in a month. While that girl, that victim, she's ostracized. She's in the wrong. She shouldn't have never caused him to do whatever he did to her. We as trans.
But again, that man, if he's been abusive to one woman and got away with it by habit, he will do it again. And if he was exposed to some form of abuse in his childhood, it doesn't have to be abusive male. It could be that single parent housing. It could be whatever, yelling in a house all the time. If someone male or female is exposed to that, that's habit, and that habit shall carry on because they absorbed it inside of them. Now it's toxic inside of them.
Exactly. I think it's this. A lot of men see how their fathers treat their mothers. And if their mothers is willing to deal with it, why shouldn't you? Because what we have to understand is the only difference between nowadays and back then, when our parents was younger, is social media. So things are more put out on Front Street. But how many times, if I don't know if you guys realize, well, know this or not, but a couple of weeks ago, my oldest biological brother from my father's side had died, right? So his children, grown children, basically was telling other people, unless you have a DNA test, you can't show up to this funeral. Because he have all these illegitimate children out there, and nobody really knows if they're his, if they're not. He was in and out of these kids' life. So the men have always been creating other families, having side chicks, having outside.
They've been womanizers.
Is
They've
that
been womanizers. Right. Right. And here's the thing. I'm going to say this. My father was a womanizer, but here's the thing. The abuser in my mother and father's relationship was my mother. Was my mother. Because to this day, I will say this, and I say it publicly. My father did what he did, and if she was willing to accept his womanizing and stayed with him, that would have been abuse for her. But she in a way, I'm going to say it, she kind of pushed my dad away because of her way of doing things. It's that she may have never been physical, but my mom was, I remember my day, and I remember this truly through my life, that my mom threw a vase at my father out of anger. And when I recall that every day, I say to myself, my dad didn't put his hands on my mother ever, but she threw a vase at him out of anger. See, look at you about to go sleep on me now, and and because of that, I've learned, okay, that she did that out of anger, but then in time, her anger was coming out on me, and I knew then that my mother was the abuser in my life. She was an abuser. She was.
um? I come to find out because like my mom is also kind of a bully, but the fortunate thing with my mom is I have developed her personality, and I'm the only person who she would back down for in this whole world. Because when I had to embrace myself, I could not embrace her bullshit, right? So because the woman goddess energy in me would not allow me to accept bullshit from any woman, especially not my mom, we had some pretty intense conversations throughout the years. And trust me, I've always won. And I'm the only person who she would back down from. And I just think that's another way of her accepting my transition, almost accepting my womanhood, because she would never back down to a man, but she would back down to me. I think family trauma is such a deep, deep, deep. I'm gonna say deep again.
Deep.
Scar the trans people. I think that's the one thing both trans men, trans women, hell, even some gay and bisexual people have in common. When you're not accepted from your family, when you're the black sheep, we all created this term black sheep, and that's kind of became cool. I'm the black sheep, this, that, and the third. No, your family ostracizes you. You're different from your family.
Right.
For whatever reason, they won't accept you. That's hard because your family is supposed to be there for you. That's supposed to be your blood bond in this world. And when you can't connect to your own blood, that is something that is extremely traumatic, extremely difficult
Right.
to get over. And we have to understand that people try to get over this trauma in different ways. And not always are healthy. But instead of judging, instead of beating down on each other, we need to come together and learn that with love. And love does not mean you're sexually attracted to somebody, because that's another issue that we're having in the community, because people only accept the people they're attracted to or
right.
think is good looking and this, that, and the third. No. A true space of love is being there for one another. It is hard, but at the end of the day, if you see somebody who's toxic or who's just coming there to rant, instead of going back and forth with them, let's try to understand where they're coming from. Clearly, they're a hurt person trying to hurt other people. So instead of playing
right.
the game, if you can, because some people you can't tolerate. I completely understand that. Because there was a couple of people recently I had to block off of my own page. People who I thought was my friends because of the things that I was posting about something I found out recently. And they was like, "Why are you always coming for the men?" And I'm like, "Dude, if it don't apply to you, why do you have something to say? If nothing am I saying or typing should hurt your feelings if it does not apply to you. Clearly, you're hollering because you've been hit. I done struck the nerve to you, and you want to attack me. But right now, I don't have it in me to debate you. If you don't like what I'm saying, don't respond to my page."
But we have to sometimes acknowledge that what we say in a public arena is triggering for somebody.
Correct.
and we may never acknowledge it as being triggering.
I get that. But if I'm talking about because for me, I don't want conflict. So I never call people names out. I just call out the situation so the person knows who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you. Why do you have something to say on this? I'm talking about a very particular situation that I did a whole 4-hour live about the other day. Why are you still here defending somebody that you do not know? Are you doing these same behaviors? Are you this toxic person that you want to sit up here and act like you this, that, and the third, but behind everybody back, you're doing this, that, and the third? Let's keep it real. Everybody who says they're here for the community isn't. There's a lot of agents walking around here. We're going to go very spiritual and very deep. There's a lot of hidden agents around here who sit up here, especially men, who sit up here and learn trigger words, who learn, I'm not a tranny chaser, this, that, and the third, trying to stay in remembrance. All the while, all you doing is trying to fuck the girls and go back to your cisgender women. And that's not okay with me.
No, it's not okay with anyone, and that's something that can be very traumatic for many of the girls too. Some girls are okay with it, and some of them aren't. And I think as we grow and we get wiser as individuals, we tend to say, "That's not for me. I know what's better for myself. I know what I don't want to be dealing with anymore." And that's a form of abuse as well, to be dealing. And I'm going to say this, and some people don't like me saying this. My feeling is this: if you are dealing with someone and they keep running back to where they're running back to, it's like a woman that's a cisgendered woman. I'm going to break it down. It's like a cisgendered woman dating a man, and she know this man is taken and spoken for by a married woman. That man is abusing her, and that man is abusing the wife. He's abusing both situations. Neither one is going to gain from that man.
Exactly.
The only one that gained was one marrying him. But deep down inside, she hasn't gained that man 100%. So that man is abusing, right? That man is abusing both parties. And trans women need not to be settling for that form of abuse.
Exactly. But and this is what.
But as a devil's advocate,
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. Some are comfortable with that and they're okay with that because that's some form of attention that they are getting. That's some form of attention. They rather have that form of attention than to be single and not have someone in their life like me. I sleep with a dog next to me in bed, but he hasn't been there for, like I said in the last live tonight for Sexy 101. He wasn't there for 5 days. He's been sleeping on the couch. So now I'm a little lonely on my bed. These women may not have a dog or a cat. They might have a teddy bear, and that teddy bear, he just is not warm enough on a cold day. So I'm not trying to be funny, but they're willing to sacrifice their soul for temporary, falsified affection and love. And that's a form of self-abuse.
That's a youth.
Because I will tell you like I tell anyone, I'm not going to sacrifice my soul for temporary, right, Aria, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sacrifice myself. I even, I'm going to be honest with you. I sometimes allow abuse to come in my life when I'm willing to deal with something long distance and knowing a long distance relationship is not for me. Why am I putting myself through it? And then I get accused of cheating and all these little games that go on, and she's living, 3 states away. I'm thinking, where did this come from? I'm allowing this in my life. Like Aria said earlier, and you said it, we've got to stop the cycle by stopping it at your own doorstep.
Correct.
Sometimes we allow it to be at our doorstep.
A lot of the times we allow it to be at our doorsteps because at that time, whatever that person is giving, that's all you're concerned about. You're not thinking about the future or what's next. You're thinking about yourself. And that's a form of negative selfishness. That's a form of disrespect to yourself. There's a difference between selfishness that protects and selfishness that disrespects. And what we have to learn that we have to be the greatest protectors of ourselves. We have to make sure people wear protection. You can't be mad if you catch something and you didn't force it. You still had sex with them and they didn't have something. Like, people would like to place blame upon other people because it's easier than to admit that you're the fucked up one. People like to date people who are abusive. A lot of times I come to find out because they're not really ready to be in a relationship. So they deal with this shit because if they met somebody who really was about what they said it was about and who wanted a long-term relationship, you're not really ready to deal with that. You're not really ready to handle that. You want that instant gratification right now, and that instant gratification right now look like this fucked up ass relationship that you put yourself in. But in order to truly be happy, in order to truly be able to accept love and to give love, you have to be able to love unconditionally. Love the things about the person that you may not
Right, but let me say something about that. I love unconditionally, but I also know how to take my unconditional love back. Because some people don't know what unconditional love and how to deal with it. They can be abusive to unconditional love. I ran into a situation not too long ago where I love unconditionally naturally. And this person knew that. And this person abused it. And to this day, I respect you as a human being because you're on this earth. But you will never receive my unconditional love any further because you abused what was good of me. I don't give away good stuff and keep giving away where I'm drained. I just don't do it. So Adam's even trying to stay awake. Look, we all trying to stay awake tonight. Look at that. So, but I'm gonna let Adam. Let me let Adam come on before he falls asleep because he's in the dark now. Okay, go ahead.
Love is a two-way street. Love is a two-way street. If you don't feel like you're getting what you're giving out, you have to stop giving out. You can't give out something that you're not returning. It's currency. Love is currency. It's a constant flow. It's life energy. It's energy. Love. People look at love as an emotion. Love isn't an emotion. Love is a form of an energy, and it's current. It's giving and receiving. And if you don't have that giving and receiving, get the fuck up out of that thing. Thanks, Flex.
All right, so I'm gonna let him come in. Hang in there, everybody. We're gonna get this right. We're gonna get this right. Adam, you ready? Where you at, Adam? There he is. All right, there's my brother. He's coming through. Come on, Adam. We know you're here. I don't want you to go to sleep yet. All right,
sorry.
Adam.
Hold on.
It's okay. It's okay. We know who you are. We know what you look like. Uh-oh. I don't think anybody gonna listen. They girls gonna look at you. They gonna be like, "Oh, he cute." They gonna forget all about what you saying.
I'll
Go
say
ahead,
this.
brother.
I'll touch base and let y'all know. My shot went terribly wrong. It went in my hip and it knotted really badly. My blood pressure's through the roof right now. Hey, Ari. But yeah. So my head's kind of doing this, you know. But I had to come on. I had to. Check this out, all right? I'm about to speak on some real shit, some sensitive shit, and I'm not trying to hurt no feelings or step on anybody's toes. This is my opinion and my view. Okay? All right. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything here. All right, we're talking about abuse, you guys. That's where we're at. I'm not going to touch on the LGBT community in this. Actually, I'm going to sit here and say everybody is abused in some way or some shape or form as far as our generation goes. It's sad to say that, but it's the truth, all right? We're going to touch the surface. As a child, I grew up with 2 alcoholic and drug abusive parents who were physically abusive to each other, mentally, emotionally, and verbally abusive, okay? I grew up before I was 7 years old. I've been hit with liquor bottles in the head. I've been picked up by the back of my neck like a puppy. I've been strapped to a chair and had food shoveled in my mouth until I was throwing up. I mean, I've cut all that. I've been through some trauma, okay? I've been through some serious, major childhood trauma, all right? I grew up also with my mom having her jaw wired shut due to my father slamming her head through a fridge door when she was trying to leave drunk with her 2 kids. I have a special needs brother. I mean, I could sit here and cry and whine all day long, but I'm going to sit here and speak on the other side of things because I saw my view of things was my father coming into it and him being completely and unconditionally in love with my mother and her turning to other men and drugs and this and that. And all he was doing was trying to pull her closer, and it caused him to be angry and bitter. And he didn't know how to handle it because he was mental issues.
Right.
He had a mental illness. I grew up with that being my basis as how to treat women. I was taken from my parents and put in my grandparents' household. Okay? My grandmother abused pills, and my grandfather is a career alcoholic. He's a functioning alcoholic who's also physically abusive. Okay?
Wow.
So we're talking all support systems all the way around. All right? My other grandmother got partial custody. She is a very, very hyper Christian. We're talking, oh my God, I'm not allowed at family get-togethers still to this day unless I wear a dress and a wig. Negative. Can you imagine that? Just saying. But okay, now that y'all are caught up to speed on that, I'll put it like this. I'm going to sit here and throw myself under the bus. When I was 16, 17, a couple of instances in recent relationships, I have been that toxic person. And I'm willing to sit here and be man enough to admit part of it was due to my abuse and part of it was due to how I took what the other person was doing, my insecurities, and it caused me to want to pull them closer and not being able to handle my emotions.
Right. Right.
Completely not being able to handle my emotions in a healthy way. And I'm still working on that. It's all about self-inventory daily. It's not about what happened with this person. It's about what's going on right now. Because honestly, we could sit back in this video chat, and I have heard so many people sit back and say, well, cisgendered men do this, or men do that, or women are prone to do this, or women are prone to do that. You guys, were cutting our own community's legs off right there by throwing gender and norms on men and women. I'm sorry, but there are women out there that have just about broke my jaw in relationships. There are women out there that run around and get back in relationships before their current relationship is over with a faithful good guy. There have been instances where I haven't been the abuser and I've been completely and utterly faithful and just an all-around unconditionally loving person and still had to deal with the bad side of things. Still dealt with getting abused. It didn't stop me from loving those people unconditionally because at the end of the day, there's still too much hate being spewed and those people still need that love, regardless of where it's coming from.
Right.
Love is something that is ever flowing. It's always going to come out. The more love you give, the more you're going to have to give. It's not something that's just going to stop because you gave out too much. You get what I'm saying?
Got it.
sit back and still fight my demons about being that person. This time last year, my hands were casted, both. I had spiral compound boxer's fractures in both hands, and it was due to me and my wife at the time getting into an argument and her throwing my phone. Instead of hitting her, I hit the wall.
Oh.
That was a form of self-abuse, but at the same time, instead of putting my hands on her, I ended up doing it to myself. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a punishment to myself. And instead of going through and letting them do surgery and put rods in my hands, I took the more painful option. And every 2 weeks, they were cutting the cast off and re-breaking the bones into place for a good 4 months.
God.
Mm-hmm.
Self-abuse.
But do you know what that taught me? Because it was a learning experience. I'm not going to punch a wall out of anger anymore.
Right.
Regardless, I have intermittent explosive disorder. It's an impulse control disorder. I cannot, my anger spirals and snowballs. And that's something that I got genetically passed down 3 generations.
Right.
And coming from 3 generations of abusive men in relationships and drug abuse, I'm just completely predispositioned to become my father, basically. You get what I'm saying? Which is
You got it.
a
And you
lot of
gotta,
guys' biggest fear
right.
in an
And you
abusive
gotta
situation.
keep it under control. You gotta keep it under control. And you gotta be accountable for everything that you're doing. Because I'm going to be honest with you. There was a time that I was a baseball bat thrower. And out of anger, I would get pissed off and hit you with a bat. But I had to come in terms with, where did this anger come from? I knew where it came from. And that's when I said, I can't be like her. I can't get upset and be throwing things because of anger. I've got to learn how to recap it, regroup it, and get in the right perspective with it.
I completely agree. I've learned that no, I wasn't that guy that was sitting there constantly beating the crap out of my girlfriend behind closed doors or trying to verbally manipulate and shut her off. No, that was not the stereotype. I sat there and realized that the specific women that I've been with, and I'm not naming any names, no specific relationship, but specific women I've been with in the past were cheating on me left and right. And that was creating a major, major issue within myself of wanting to keep that love and acceptance there, because it's rare to find someone that accepts you as you are. We know this.
Right.
But I caused it to be too suffocating. And that would just cause the arguments and the tension to get worse.
Right.
I became the guy that hits the door and hits the wall instead of hitting the person.
Right.
It reaches a point, though, even being that person, they say, oh, abusers never change. That's a common misconception.
Right.
That is a major misconception. I can tell you this. I have been in relationships where it has been almost the same situation that was handled badly the first time around, where someone has cheated on me, where I've been inebriated, where I have been at that point where they've been in my face and spitting in my face. I've had someone take a knife to my face. And do you want to know what I did? As an abuser, wow, I'm supposed to be that guy that put his hands on that person, right?
Right.
No. It's about that moment and being able to learn from your mistakes. I haven't put my hands on a female since the first time I put my hands on a woman. But I still have that label on my head.
But can I ask you a question? Could you say that self-reflection, Aria says, self-reflection never ends.
Self-reflection is a constant process. As humans, we are fallible. We are meant to make mistakes, and nobody gives room for that. Nobody in our society realizes humans make mistakes. It is part of life. It is how we evolve and learn on our journey as we each grow. No two experiences are the same. No two people are going to have the same views on anything.
Right.
And humanity needs to come to terms with that and be able to accept other people's opinions are just that. They are their opinions.
Right.
That does not reflect on your opinion or my opinion or this person's opinion. That doesn't reflect on how other people see things. And as far as self-reflection, you have to constantly be willing to sit there and not lie to yourself about your flaws.
Right. Because we all
Because
have flaws. We all have
exactly,
flaws. We all have flaws. And your flaws, you must own up to your own flaws. You must
exactly.
own up to your own flaws. And those flaws you must be willing to change in a positive avenue.
hmm And you also, with that being said, you have to also realize that some of those flaws may not necessarily be flaws, but be insecurities and be damage that you need to fix to be able to move forward and evolve.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I was just gonna touch base on that because I realized everybody was coming at it from not necessarily a victim's point of view, but from the opposing side of things. And being a trans man who was predispositioned and an intersex guy who was predispositioned for an anger disorder and for abuse, imagine my first 4 months on T and going through a split and losing 2 kids. I didn't go down that road. I didn't become that abusive guy. I didn't go down that road and become an alcoholic. Yes, I vented. Yes, I found my way, but it's not necessarily as cut and dry as it seems. So, in certain, for instances, if you come across someone, please realize the word abuser may be a trigger to some people and that everyone is going through their own shit when it comes to that. And that right there may be a demon that someone's fighting alone. We are all abusers and we're all abused in some way. And whether you see it or not, it's in the smallest ways. When you go to a gas station, for instance, there's been at least 1 or 2 times in your life where you've seen that homeless guy out there who hasn't eaten in 3 or 4 days, who hasn't showered, who literally came up to you and asked you for a bottle of water. And you've kind of given him a look because you've had a bad day because of what you had going on. That's a form of abuse in itself right there.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
We've got to allow for other people and how they deal with things and how they come to terms with their own self-realizations and be willing to help them with their issues and say, hey, you're flawed, you're human, we all are. I accept that and I want to help, you know?
Right. And that's true
Um,
because abuse doesn't have to be in a violent way. It could be in a very silent way as well. It could be in a silent way as well.
mhm. I fully agree with that too. Sorry, my head started hurting. um, I'm about to let you bring somebody else on, share their whatever they want
I
to
hope you
share.
feel better. I hope you feel better, my brother.
I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna be here on the comments, though. I'll be here.
All right. We love you, Adam. Thank you.
Love you guys.
All right. So, like y'all heard it, he really touched on some things, and I thank Adam for that. You know, he had admitted some of the things he did and had to be accountable for his actions to change some things. So, that's the one thing we're trying to say is even if we don't acknowledge our own selves being abusive, because we can be abusive to each other, we really can. We can be harmful. We can be. We can add devastation to another person's life not knowing it. Um, This is something that we need to discuss. I think sometimes we have to go back into the corner, sweep out the dirt that we put there, and really, really clean up. We need to sometimes clean up what we try to hide. In the past few months, we've had a lot of verbal negativity, um, verbal and negative. There's just so much going on. Social network hasn't helped us at all. I'm just going to say that. And our community as a whole is just spiraling within a whole world of, it's like a tornado called, a tornado has a name. And right now our tornado is negativity. And in that tornado, we've got abuse, we've got rudeness, we've got all that egotistical crap going on, jealousy, envy, all of that is in that tornado. Um, you know, when is it going to stop? Will it ever stop? No. But we as a group of individuals have to look within ourselves and ask self, what am I doing to make things better? What am I doing to make things worse? It is toxic, Ashton. It is very toxic. I think social media, they allow this stuff for a while. They didn't allow people to be rude and nasty on social media. Now they're feeding into it. They're letting people kill each other with words and hurt people. And it's like a way to bring people down in America. Social media would not allow people to do that. They would cut you off. So tonight I had to do part 2. And I know tomorrow, probably Tamara will do her part 2. But I decided to do part 2 with some of you and hope that we can share this and help others go forward in making changes in their own life, in others' lives. Because we, the world, the people, the citizens of the United States are responsible for making those changes. We're responsible for making those changes. So, if anybody wants to come on before we close, please let me know. Ari, are you still wanting to come on? Ashton, you're there. Let's see who we got. Ashton's at work. Ari.
Hello.
I'm going to let you talk and close out for tonight.
Okay, as far as Adam is concerned, Adam, I believe people can change. I'm not one of those closed-minded people that don't believe people can change. But true change only comes when that person really wants it.
Right. And Adam wanted it.
And like he was saying, but also like I was saying earlier, we have to accept the part we play in situations. It's not just holding our abusers accountable, it's also holding ourselves accountable.
Right. Right.
It's like at the end of the day, you become your own abuser when you hold on to that pain.
Right.
You become your own abuser when you give that bitterness that you have gained from other people back to other people.
Right.
Reflection never ends. Self-doubt doesn't go anywhere. Insecurities are present. But in a relationship, be it platonic or romantic, if somebody triggers your insecurities, they're showing you they are not meant for you.
Right.
Nobody should make you feel insecure if you're giving yourself
Correct.
fully. Anybody I meet, I give myself fully. No matter how scared I am, no matter how scared I am of being hurt again. I give you myself until you show me that you don't deserve me. And I know what I am willing and not willing to take. So
That's so true.
it's like at the end of the day, I always tell people meditate. Be brutally honest with yourself. Don't tell yourself just what you want to hear. Like I tell people, I don't tell myself what I want to hear, so I'm not going to just tell you what you want to hear.
Right.
My opinion is my opinion. You don't have to like it. But you will respect it because I'm going to respect yours. I'll just tell you I don't agree with it.
Right.
But I don't have to belittle you, invalidate you to prove my point.
Right.
So it's more on the lines of when we build community, when you build your personal village, be it with blood family, family you have made your own, boundaries are necessary.
Yep.
And sometimes we use our own insecurities as defenses. And you have to realize when you're using the insecurity as a defense.
Yeah.
Because you're going
So
in
true.
already guarded versus truly letting yourself be open. So you can receive what this person is trying to bless you with.
Right.
Not all lessons in life are easy. Some people are in your life as a harsh lesson. This is what I be talking about when I say, as beings, we are cosmic mirrors for each other.
Right.
I'm either going to be an easy lesson that you can just take my words and learn from, or I'm going to be that harsh lesson that's going to have to hit you upside your head and be like, okay, now you got to learn.
Right.
You need to see. So
right.
stop getting
And we
caught.
don't have to be, and when you're doing that, when you are that lesson, we don't have to be very hard and very rude about it.
No, because like what I mean by harsh is like this. Okay, it might be a bitter pill to swallow.
Right.
But it's not coming from malice. If I tell any of my sisters or my brothers anything to correct them, I'm telling you this not out of a place of malice, not out of a place of judgment. This is true unconditional love. I'm willing to be harsh with you so you can learn that lesson.
Right. And that's what we should do as a community more often.
So it's like, the human experience is beautiful because we have each other.
Correct.
We have each other to learn from. We have each other to see each other's experience and see the different reflections of God that we represent as beings on this planet. So it's like all you can give is yourself. If you're not filled within yourself, if you're still damaged, if you're still dealing with your trauma, if you're still dealing with family issues, you do not need to give that toxicity to somebody else. Heal first.
Even if that means you have to be by yourself to get that healing. And how do we go?
Isolation, because in that healing process, you will find the people, and I'm speaking from personal experience. You will find the people that will heal you, inspire you, and make you see the best parts of yourself.
Well, I'm not speaking of isolation. I'm saying that sometimes you have to step back from the crowd.
Oh, no. Yes.
Step back from the crowd. Step back and be by yourself for a little bit And like that old saying in the Bible, they say, stand still, stand still. The crowd you catch up with the crowd. It's like walking with a group of people. And sometimes you have to step back. They can walk ahead of you for a while. Step back for a little bit because something you need by yourself. What you need, you only going to get by yourself. You can't get that with a crowd. I'm sorry, you can't get that with a crowd. What you need for yourself, spiritually, you will receive it for yourself.
Because it's like embodying what true femininity and true masculinity is. At the end of the day, true femininity is free flowing, love, life, emotions running free and rampant. Masculinity is in strength, determination, drive, passion. Like, and we all embody both. And knowing yourself is getting to that point to where you know the parts of your energy that play each part. Because we start to abuse ourselves when we deny ourselves certain aspects of ourselves. So it's like
something else.
So it's like, you know, I'm a spiritual being. I believe in energy. I believe in giving and taking equally. I don't want to give a person more than they give me. I don't want to take more than they give. Like,
right.
I take everything should be equal as far as energy goes. You should give, I should take. I should take, you should give. Like,
right.
It's revolving. If it becomes stagnant, that person is holding back from you. That person is not showing you and revealing to you them whole selves.
Right.
So it's like you have to know your own makeup. You have to know your own psychological makeup. You have to know your own being. You have to own that and move in that.
Right. And that's how we do that. That's how we do that. And that's why this is a deep topic. It's a deep topic. It's something we might have to touch on more often. We might have to have part 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7. Because this is the only way that people are going to be able to change in a positive way and heal in a positive way as we have these discussions.
Yes, and stop judging people for what they have been through. Stop judging people for. I judge you based on if you learned your lessons or not. Okay,
right.
I can't be around you if you're constantly bumping your head on the same lesson. You should have learned that 2 lessons ago. Why are you still going through the same lesson and they wonder why everything seems like a cycle? Break the cycle. Break those generational curses. Break them. You have all the strength too.
I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. You've got to break the cycle. If you're the abuser or if you're the abusee, you have to break the cycle and be aware of the cycle. Just like Adam exposed some things tonight. He knew where the cycle was. He knew what was going on. He just knew it. Me, I knew it. I knew that I was abusive by just throwing a baseball bat. And I was like, where is this coming from? Why am I even angry? Then I had to say, wait a minute, let me stop. Let me regroup, step back, and catch me first. Because me has got to change. And as I evolved and I started changing, my whole life started changing. The way I did, people were afraid of me. People would say they carry a bat in the car. I mean, I still do to this day for protection because I'm a little guy. But, and a lot of it is because I'm a man of color and I'm also trans, and I still keep the bat in the car for that reason. But I was actually hitting people with bats back in my day. I got mad. I would walk outside and clock you, go back upstairs. You might be laying on the ground half dead. And my family wasn't helping. They enabled the abuser. They enabled me.
And then like another thing, we become abusers because we're so wrapped up in our victimhood that we
Yes.
we claim that victimhood so strongly that we
Yes.
attack everything that tries to come our way.
And that's what I was doing. Every time somebody did something, and I would say nicely, leave me alone. Don't bother me. Don't bother me. And by the time I got to the third don't bother me, I was done. But family even enabled, and they even, it's kind of funny how I love my family, my cousins. They laughed and giggled about it back in the day. Oh, you're going to get the bat, But then they realized, as we talked about it getting older, I told them, I said, you all didn't help me any. You got the kiki out of it. And that's what people do. They like to get a kiki out of something.
No,
And I
but like
said, they got a kiki out of it. But then when it happened, you enabled me by telling the police you didn't see nothing.
no, like, but even like with my own family, how I let them know anything. Like at the end of the day, you cannot not understand what I'm coming from or what I'm saying. I can only, like, at the end of the day, I'm not your scapegoat.
Right.
I am not the one who caused this this condition.
Right.
So when I lash out, it's out of hurt. I can admit that. When I lash out at people, it's because of hurt. It's because of the lack of acceptance, the feeling unwanted, feeling tolerated, and not truly loved. Like,
Right.
because to love someone is to truly love that person for who they say they are. Period. That is unconditional love. Not for who
Right.
you want them to be, not who for what you think they can be. It's for who they show you they are and who they
It
tell you
means what
they
it
are.
says. It means what it says. None, none, no condition. No condition is what it means.
If you can't accept a person unconditionally, you don't need to be around that person.
Right. Should be no conditions on how you're going to love that person. And love doesn't have to be intimate love.
No, but that's another thing. That's another thing people get misconstrued. And this is why we always have this big thing where you can't be friends with the opposite sex. Like a recent boyfriend of mine that I just had after being single for 9 years, only together 9 months. And he was so insecure when I'm the type of woman to only go to work and come home. And I work 12-hour days, 5 days a week. I don't have time to do anything. I was coming home to you. What problem? Why are you insecure? Why are you saying I'm cheating? Why are you bringing your past relationship drama to this relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to be able to step away from things that are unhealthy for you.
Are things that are not of you. Things that are not of you.
Because it's like at the end of the day, you have to value yourself more. You have to love yourself more. At the end of the day, like my grandma used to tell me, you're not what you called, you what you answer to. One, you came in this world by yourself, you're gonna leave by yourself. So you have to make peace with self.
Right.
You have to be comfortable with self. If somebody's
Right.
there or not. We got to get out of trying to feel this empty feeling that we all innately have with other things and other people.
Right.
Healing
So
doesn't
true.
happen that way. You just masking it. You making it numb. You just numbing it, pushing it to the
That's
back of your
true.
head. And then as soon as
True.
those things are gone, it's killing you.
Yep. And then you act out of frustration. And then you become toxic again, and it's filtered inside of you, and somehow you let it out and become abusive.
Because, like I used to tell the women in my family, y'all think I'm so harsh and I'm so cut and dry and blunt with everybody. But like I told them, my whole life, y'all have been nothing but cut and dry and blunt. Y'all constantly remind me what I was born. You constantly denied me who I was telling y'all I was. And then wondered why I seeked safety and acceptance from other people and didn't need it from y'all. And then when I couldn't get it from the ones that I thought I could get it from, I learned that I had to give that to myself.
Right.
So, like, it's not that I was looking for love. I wanted to give the love I had.
Uh-huh.
As a natural feminine being, I'm a loving person. I don't like to be mad, or I like light. I like light energy. I like to be affectionate, and because that's the type of energy I have been. Even though my family didn't accept me for my transition,
Uh-huh.
when I was living comfortably as they wanted me to, and just saying that I was a female in a male body, but still presenting male to please them, and killing myself because I'm denying myself.
Right.
I was able to get the love that I wanted, which was
Right.
the affection, the cuddling,
Right.
the
Right.
hugging and talking and all that aspects. But as soon as I decided to, no, I'm going to embrace myself, I'm just to be self-full.
Mm-hmm.
Not selfish, but self-full.
Right.
So I can be happy from within, and I can give people who I truly am, and not what people wanted me to be.
Right. And that's what we have to do for ourselves. And like Ari's saying, that's what she as a person had to do for her. And for myself, like Adam spoke of how he has to do for himself. And Michaela was talking about what she has to do for herself. Brandon spoke as well. And myself as well. Sometimes, we have to really go deep within self to find out, what do I need to do to change the cycle? So, with that being said, I think we've been here long enough to talk about this. And if we have to do part 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for the rest of the week, we will do that. But I appreciate all of y'all for coming on. I think we're all getting sleepy. I done nodded out on y'all once already, so.
I was
But
trying
I
not to
was
laugh
still
at
on
you, Lex, but
board.
you was out. I mean, you was out. You started snoring and everything. Like, I was like, oh my God, he is tired.
Well, I do, I don't think anyone understands this. Unconditionally, I love the world, and the world doesn't always love me back. That's something my grandmother kept telling me. But you got to go to sleep sometime. And I'm a worker in our community, and I'm a worker in the world. I do things for anyone. And I'm always up late hours. Brandon lives with me. He'll tell you sometimes he'll see me go to bed at 9 o'clock and get back up at 12 in the afternoon. I'll go to bed at 9 in the morning and get back up at 12 in the afternoon. And my whole day, I might be up 72 hours. But I do it because unconditionally, I love the world. And I don't expect anything back. I really don't. And sometimes I have to start asking people for help out of pride. I don't, because I just feel like,
Okay, I just want to say one thing to my trans brothers and sisters: stop letting the world make you evil.
yes, thank you. Say that again. Say it one more time.
To my trans brothers and sisters, stop letting the world make you evil. Just because they don't understand you, don't mean you don't understand yourself.
Because people don't understand something. Here we go. People that are carrying a spirit of evil spirit will blow it into a direction of another group of people. And to people who believe in evil, they believe that we are evil. So they're blowing that spirit into our community. And we can't keep carrying that evil spirit that's been blown to us. Because none of us are evil.
Again, for
Well, I
Ashley,
know I'm not. I know I'm not.
to my trans brothers and sisters, stop letting the world make you evil. You're not evil. Your heart is pure. You're just trying to live your truest self.
Right.
We are transcendent beings.
Right.
We reflect that we are not our bodies. We reflect oneness in the universe.
Yes. Yes. And if we can practice that as a group of individuals together, this thing about abuse will evolve to descend to nothing. It will go to gravel. It will be dust. But because you've allowed the word evil within your own community and acting out what is seen to be as evil by being vindictive, being pure mean towards each other, what society is saying, they placed it at our feet. We are now covering ourselves with it.
Because I'm gonna
We've
tell you,
got
like
to
one of my
uncover it.
one of the Christian friends I had, that one of the cisgender people I was talking about earlier, that been in my inbox talking about our lives that we've been discussing, said, y'all are basically proving that y'all are demons fighting amongst each other.
Well, Jesus.
So
Y'all
why
say
prove
that
them right?
we can't. How can we? How can
Most
we?
of us.
You know, we. But the thing is, how can we prove someone right when we having so much hard time figuring out who we are to be right? So we've got to stop doing what people are placing at our feet. When people, it's like this: when people put stuff at your feet and say you are of the devil, automatically we react by the idea of what the devil is. We are not of the devil. So when you hear people say that to you, look at them and do like I do. I laugh in your face. Okay, next subject. Because guess what?
I do the universal black woman. Mm-hmm.
I do the laugh in the face. I'm like, okay. So next subject, what you got to tell me today? Because I'm on a new wave. What's going on? I have to laugh in someone's face. I just laugh and keep it moving because I'm telling you, people have placed it at our feet. They call us of the devil. They say we are of the devil. They say we are worse than LGBT. They say we are worse than LGBT.
Yes.
When people
Like
say,
I had to let one of my sisters know before they started this new terminology for transgender and transsexual and all this other stuff, we were considered schizophrenic.
oh, we were crazy, schizophrenic, abusive to our own bodies. We were mutilating our bodies. We were doing demonic things to our bodies. I mean, and so when people start putting all that negativity into us, we started making it real by acting out, and we got to stop doing that.
So you do the same thing to your sisters and brothers when you call a trans man a woman, fish, cis, like you do the same thing when you
stud.
call
Don't
another
call me
trans
no
woman a
stud.
man.
Don't call me no stud. Don't call me a stud. If somebody calls me a stud, I'm gonna beat them. Well, I
You
ain't
do
gonna
the
beat them,
same
but I'll
thing they
be
do to us, to each other.
right. Don't call me a stud with no hair.
Cause like cross dress used to be a trigger for me. Like, bitch.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I grew past that because I know that's not me. Bitch, just don't come off for me. This is 24/7.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, no, but y'all do the same. Y'all put the same toxicity that is pumped into our society back into each other. You're basically just
I think what
recycling
we've done.
negativity.
I think what we've done is we've tried to prove the point we are not cross dressers. We've proven it already. We don't have to let people know yay or nay. We've proven it already as a community. There is a difference. And I think that's the problem that so many of us are trying to prove the point that we are not cross dressers. We don't have to prove that. Cross dressers know they're cross dressers. You know a cross dresser when you see one. I'm just going to let you know. It's half the time the makeup is not even right. They don't have no makeup on. They're just wearing part of something that cross dresses something they don't wear. Cross dressers are cross dressers. I'm going to say this not to be rude. I've never seen a pretty cross dresser because they're not trying to be pretty. I mean, even a drag queen has, she might look good in makeup, but she's still not pretty. She's a cross dresser. She's a boy in a dress on stage.
But
So,
I just want to leave. I just want to leave everybody with you are not evil.
right. You are not evil. Say that, everybody. You are
You are
not
not
evil.
evil. You are valid in whatever state you of being you are in. Stop abusing
Yes.
yourself. Stop recycling that negativity and putting it back into your people.
Yes.
Truly heal yourself. Stop deflecting and reflect.
Did y'all hear
Truly.
all that? I hope everybody heard that. I thank you, my sister. I do.
Oh, I
And
thank
I
you
love
for.
you for life. I thank you.
I love you for life. You know, I like. At the end of the day, I really want community. I really want my village to be
I do
strong.
too. I do too. I would love, you know, to imagine our community being what it is and strong and moving and shaking. I would be, I mean, I'm like, yeah,
So it's just like, just like right now at this state, I think most of us just need to step back from everything, reflect, own our stuff, accept it, accept your good, your bad, and your ugly. Fix the things that you can, heal those wounds.
yes,
Because
so
if you,
true.
because if you want to share your soul with somebody, that takes being vulnerable.
Hmm. That is true.
Be it platonic or romantic. It takes being vulnerable.
It does.
It takes a certain willingness to be hurt or let down.
So true.
Stop rushing the process. Take
You know that
all the time you need.
time you need. And that's what we tell the trans men. Take your time. You will not be judged by your brothers. Take your time because as you evolve to be a better person than the person you were yesterday. Take your time. Look at me. I'll admit it. It took forever for me to get top surgery. 40 years? That's a long time for some damn top surgery. I'm just gonna let y'all know right now. It was easy to get the medicine, but the top surgery was forever. I said if I don't get this top surgery by the time I reach
No, but
60,
but like I tell people, sometimes certain things, certain obstacles come into your life because you're truly not ready for it. You're not there yet. It's certain aspects that you're presently in that haven't been healed yet, that haven't been evaluated yet, that haven't been changed yet, that you haven't faced yet. Sometimes you
right.
have to learn to face your demons head on and say, you are not in control of me. I control you. Take
So
your
true.
power back.
So true.
Nobody can give you your power. Your power comes from within.
It does. It sure enough does. It sure enough does. Well, my sisters and brothers, I thank you all for being here tonight. We're gonna have to continue this, and I really commend all y'all for staying up with me since I snored through half of it. And when the
But I
public,
love you guys all to life.
yes,
I send
we
peace
all love
and
you to life.
blessings and positivity to you all. Namaste. I see the you and me. I see the me and you.
Yes. So for everybody, good night, be well, and take it forward. And remember, you are not evil.